So Donald Trump may not have his legal dream team lined up just yet, but we sure do. I'm joined by Tom Fuentes. He's a former assistant director of the FBI. Andrew Cherkasky is a criminal defense attorney. He's also a former federal prosecutor and a JAG lawyer. And Richard Donoghue is an attorney and a former deputy attorney general. He was also U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of New York. So very smart minds. I want to start with you, Tom, with this whole notion of what the judge said today. He sent the DOJ lawyers back, and he sent the DOJ agents into sort of a, I'm guessing, like moment in fuego, because they're going to have to now go over everything and figure out what they're going to propose to this judge to redact. And I'm guessing from your background at the FBI, that's not something they want to do. They already have a big case that they're working on. But explain to me the backroom scene, like what's happening behind the scenes right now with all those folks in the DOJ who just heard what they heard.
Well, I think DOJ should have expected, Ashleigh, that they were not going to just have the entire affidavit suppressed and not released. At some point, a judge, if not Magistrate Reinhart or someone, is going to come along and say, look, you have to release some of this information, especially as much negative publicity has resulted from the search even taking place in the first place. So I think that, this was more or less to be expected. And I think next week, you're right. Will we see entire pages of nothing but black ink, or will we see a more reasonable approach? Yes, protect the identity of any informant or any of the agents involved in the investigation or any potential witness, but expect that much of the basis for the search is going to have to be somewhat made public or revealed, especially to the Trump team.
Button that up for me. But were they expecting this from the get-go? Are they flying the plane as they're building it? Or did they know from the minute they signed off on that, on the action to go and get the warrant signed from the magistrate, that this is going to have blowback that will lead for months, and we better have our ducks in a row on what we're going to redact if, in fact, a judge decides? Were they ready for it?
Doesn't appear that they were. They almost seem to be surprised by the whole thing, and the fact that Merrick Garland made a public statement after the warrant was served is unusual in and of itself. And he didn't say a lot, but the fact that he did that, is unusual. And it almost to me had the appearance of a deer in the headlights. That what happened? What are you saying? Stop criticizing DOJ. Stop criticizing the FBI.
Yeah, that's not an easy job either in this unprecedented action. I mean, just to give him fair due, nobody wants to be up at that podium. Andrew, speaking of a place nobody wants to be, it would be on the bench, I would think, for that magistrate. It's no laughing matter that he signed the warrant and he then had death threats. And I think he's got protection at this point. And then he has to go up on the bench today and make this decision. And I want to get your best educated guess as to whether you think there was any pressure on him, even personally. Let's just not speak about principle or morals. To take the heat off him personally, his family personally, by doing this split the baby business.
Well, I would certainly hope that he's not acting out of a personal bias in that sort of way. But I do think he's acting in history's sake.
Sorry, let me back it up. I did not mean bias, not at all. I want to be really clear. Fear, that's what I meant. Fear, because he's had death threats. And we've already seen what happened at the FBI field office, a week and a bit ago. And it led to the death of the man who decided he was going to bring a nail gun and a weapon. So it's real. It's not fabricated. It's real, that the threats and danger are real. So my question was about, would fear play any part of what his decision was today?
Well, I've known a lot of federal judges, and they deal with extraordinarily serious things and have had the experience, unfortunately, I think, of going through things like death threats. And so I think as much as this is different, this is something that shows the bravery of any jurist on the bench, I think. And so I think ultimately the decision here is about our nation's history and our future and how we look back on this to see if, as best possible, we're getting answers that are transparent. And on both sides, people want answers to what's going on. So what he did today was try to split it down the middle and say to the DOJ, you're going to have to go back and you're going to basically line by line have to justify why I don't release the entirety of this affidavit. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen, but we're going to really be looking for what parts of that affidavit the judge wants released, perhaps things like the jurisdictional theory as to how they could even prosecute or come after Donald Trump, a former sitting president. So many things to come. Very interesting to see what they'll try to redact and what the judge will want released.
Wow. I haven't heard anybody bring up jurisdiction, but I have heard Merrick Garland say no one's above the law, and thus a federal crime would apply, to the president if he believed there was one committed, and that was the probable cause they laid out. But look at you with the jurisdiction. Good for you. I bet you aced everything in law school, didn't you, Eckert? Or Cherkasky, I should say.
Quite.
I'll bet you did.
Quite, not quite.
Okay. Well, you're getting good in your later years, let me tell you. Okay, so Richard,
well, thank you.
One thing I've been dying to figure out, and I don't know what's happening because, again, it's unprecedented, but when they took all the boxes out of Mar-a-Lago, and now there's the discussion about the warrant that led to that and the affidavit, where is all the stuff? I had this image of a field office and these taint teams doing the filter work to make sure that the privileged, presidential information or the attorney-client privileged information would be set aside and returned to Donald Trump. But then I worried about the field office. And I thought, I don't know that they should have taken those boxes back to the FBI field office in Florida because an FBI field office was just threatened. So is it possible that they had to do something extraordinary in terms of just executing this filter operation?
It certainly is possible, Ashleigh. It's most likely that they did take it back to the FBI field office, but they could have taken it to another location. They could take it to the U.S. Attorney's Office. They could even potentially take it out of the jurisdiction, although normally you want to execute the warrant fully in the jurisdiction where it was issued. So it should be there in Florida. But you're right. There are concerns here. There are concerns about security at the 56 FBI field offices around the country, as we saw earlier this week. There are concerns about security for judges, as we've seen threats being made. And in fact, there's a bill pending in Congress right now to protect judges and their families, and it's been stalled, but really does need to be passed to help judges feel a little bit more secure in these very uncertain times.
Tom, with your FBI background, assistant director, I mean, you know how some of these sensitive operations work, but I suppose you've never had anything like this. Would it be out of the ordinary? Would it be out of character? Would it be out of the realm of possibility to say we need a hotel ballroom that nobody knows about so that we can work on these TSSCI, top secret, must be in a lockbox in a silent vault room, but can't be at the field office, and maybe it was too dangerous even to get them to D.C.?
I don't think so. I think they're going to take it to the field office because they would have the most security there and they would have the best ability to say what the chain of custody has been. That those documents from the time they did the search at Mar-a-Lago till whenever are under full custody of the FBI, fully protected in an alarmed facility that has video and everything. So from my experience, a big section of a field office, they might move furniture out and create a gigantic room within the middle of the field office in order to have a large team of agents go through the documents, go through the material, and sort it out. And they might have assistant U.S. attorneys with them going through it as well, trying to determine the evidentiary value. But I don't think they're going to take a chance taking it anywhere.
I get it, but all these threats, everybody knows where the field office is. And it just takes one lone, dangerous person to say, I'm going to take the whole office out.
They're going to have a hard time doing that because most of the offices now are now in standalone locations. So many of the offices are no longer in downtown high-rise office buildings. So they can take it to an FBI facility that's really just a standalone compound where nobody'd be able to get into it. They would need a nuclear bomb to destroy that office and take out those documents. So I still think that's the most secure location. They'll be under the most control. They'll have the best ability for a large number of agents and analysts to review the documents. So I think they're going to be in one of the FBI offices. Now, whether they're still in Florida or to get taken to Washington or the area around Washington, that I don't know, but they will be in full FBI custody.
Okay,
And,
so
actually,
that
to
I
follow up on
expected. Go ahead.
what Tom just said, good point is these are classified documents, right? They can't be in the hotel room. They can't be in unsecured locations. It would be the ultimate irony if in conducting the search, the FBI or other authorities, Justice Department or otherwise, actually mishandle the classified documents that they're investigating the president for mishandling. So they're going to be very careful about that. There'll be a fight down the road as to whether they are in fact still classified, but for now, they certainly have to treat them as such.
I have to just add, it would be the ultimate irony to move TSSCI documents from one hotel and resort to another hotel ballroom. But thank you, all three of you, Tom Fuentes, Andrew Cherkasky, and Rich Donoghue. Really appreciate it, all three of you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.